Warning: the following video may have language that some viewers may find offensive, and others are already offended. Viewer discretion is advised, but not really. No animals were hurt in the making of this 4-hour feature film.
Hi everybody, thanks for joining us on the show today. We got a really good episode coming up. We have members of the St. Thomas Fire Service in here. Chief Fire Prevention Officer Kim Destun is in, and we have Fire Prevention Officer Shannon Ashton. And she is in to join us today, and we're going to talk a little bit about, well, fires and home safety and what a fire prevention officer is and what you do and what should people have in their home. Oh, and also don't forget to remind me about that new code in today's world about smoke alarms in every room in the house instead of. I want to get into that because that has really changed from a long time ago. Okay, so all right, thanks for coming in. So it's gonna be fun. So let's start with Kim. All right, Chief Fire Prevention Officer. What is that?
So a fire prevention officer, typically we have a kind of three things that we do, or three mandates in St. Thomas. In other cities, it's kind of divided out. But we do fire safety or fire code inspections in buildings. It could be apartments like this or anything like that. We go through and make sure that they're compliant with the fire code. If they're not, we obviously write an order, and then we can go through as far as enforcement to ensure that that happens in the buildings and the systems within are safe. And then there's fire investigation part of it, which after the fire's out, we go in and we do an investigation to determine why the fire started in the first place, because that's important to determine what's going on, why we're seeing so many of the same kinds of fires, all of that stuff. I mean, that's how we stop them from happening. And then there's pub ed.
What's the difference then between you and the Ontario Fire Marshal's office when they come in to an investigation? What would bring them in?
So there is certain limits, dollar amounts, or fatality or injuries and stuff like that that we are flagged that we then call in the fire marshal's office. They are fire investigation specialists, right? They're the top of their game on that. So when it's something that's going to end up in court later on down the road, we can call them in and they assist where they take over the fire investigation because they have a lot more resources than we do. You know, they can send stuff away for lab testing. They can call in an electrical engineer, or all of these kind of resources that smaller departments don't have or other departments don't have.
So what that would be is if you were at a house fire and you start your investigation into it and you deem it's accidental, it's due to whatever, cooking, or so that's your investigation. But if you then discover that this is probably suspicious, is that when you would call in like fire marshal?
It depends. City police, we work with our city police. So if we go into a fire scene and we think that there's a reason to think that there's something suspicious, automatically city police kind of take over on that end of it. And then we work together. We'll do the cause and determination. So where you go in and find out what the cause was and determine what it was, and then the city police can go from there and carry on the criminal portion of it.
That's so interesting. So what got you into this? Like what made you want to be a fire person?
So, but we didn't. I kind of fell into the job. I was working elsewhere in the city, and the position came open, and so I come to the fire department. I had never even thought about fire departments as any part of the fire department as a career choice. Yeah. Just kind of happened, and then both Shannon and I were in dispatch for a lot of years. Myself, it was 20, and you were
over 12.
Over 12.
12, wow.
And then we've jumped ship.
How long were you?
20 years.
In dispatch?
Yes.
Holy.
Yeah, it's 25 years now with the fire department. So
that would have been our old days too when we did Yarmouth and Tilsonburg.
I was there before 911 was a thing in St. Thomas. Yeah. So when we did all of the county as well. So.
I remember delivering fuel way back in the day when we used to run by lot concessions, so-and-so township. Then when 911 was coming out and all those little numbers, and we were like, how is this even going to work? Like, we thought this is crazy, but
Yeah.
what a game changer that was.
Yep. I'm that old. I'm pre 911.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like those too when you see it. So Shannon, so 12 years dispatch. When did you join the fire prevention?
It's been a year now. I just hit my
Oh, is it?
year anniversary.
I remember
Yeah.
coming in and seeing you talking to you at the desk when
Yep.
Bill and yeah.
Yep.
And you were actually working under Bill Todd was our
Yep.
CFPO, Chief Fire Prevention
Yep.
Officer, and Bill was a great guy. He helped me out a lot to do whatever we needed to do with the extinguisher program, and then of course you took over and you were just like bam right there, no problem. It's
Now
been
she
good.
helps
So
me out.
she good teacher?
She is.
Is she?
Yes. Very
Yeah.
good.
She's only saying that because I'm sitting here.
You're sitting here. Yeah, no, that's right.
No, she is. She is.
So what? Okay, I'll ask you first, Kim. What is something that sticks out in your memory? A big event or fire, something that you were involved with here in town. What kind of comes to the forefront that you remember?
Alma College being a big one, just because that was
Yeah.
such a community thing, right? Like it was just a huge event.
Yeah,
For sure, yeah.
Did I ever tell you the story on Elma College? No. The night I was a patrol supervisor for a security company here in town, and I got a call. I used to get a lot of calls from city police when Shelley Page was dispatcher
Yep.
at city.
Yep.
So the night before Alma College burned, Shelley called me up and she said, "Tony, are you anywhere around town?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm just coming in Highbury Ferguson from London." She said, "Can you head over to Alma College? We got reports of youth inside. We've got quite a queue and we can't get over there right now, but as soon as I get an officer, I'll send him over to back you up." I said, "Okay, no problem." So I get down there. And Scott Lusby was the officer that showed up, and I heard he's passed away now. Scott was a really great guy and a super deep voice. Oh man, was he deep voice. But I remember we went into Alma, we had to go through the basement, and then we worked our way up, and we could hear them up in the stairs, so we were going up that main staircase. And Scott was in front of me, and he turned around and he said, "Tony, if I fall through these stairs," he said, "you'll call for help?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely not." I said, "You go through the stairs, I'm already out the door." And he's like, "Oh, well, thanks a lot." And then I said to him that since we were the company allowed to go in and do, I said, "I'm going to come back tomorrow before dark and take photographs of every room in this place," because I said it was just amazing in there. And I worked till 7 that morning, went home, and at around 11 o'clock, my phone rang. It was my coworker saying, "Hey, do you know Alma College is burning?" And I was like, "No way." And so technically, me and Scott were the last ones,
Yep.
that were allowed to be in the building, right? But yeah, that was quite an event.
We had well over 90 911 calls from
Was there?
Alma College.
And did you ever notice Google Earth, the satellite
Yes.
going over
Yep.
the time? Yeah.
Yep. Almost
That
like
was
somebody
funny.
went, "Oh, we should see what's going on down there."
You see the drift of smoke going all the way over Pinafore.
London Fire Dispatch called us at some point and said, "Oh my God, what are you doing? Like, we can see the smoke from here."
Oh,
And,
no
yeah,
doubt.
my husband and I were coming back from Woodstock, and we could see it well on the other side of London. We're like,
What is
going on?
that?
"What is happening?"
You're already know that's a hell of a fire. Mm-hmm. You hadn't got the call yet that it was Alma College. So Shannon, how about you? What's kind of stuck in your mind right now? Let's start with dispatch. Any calls on dispatch that were big? Was it?
I would say for me probably the West End Talbot Street fire.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That was a lot of long hours.
Yeah, it was. That was multiple fires too. The first one, and then the second big one that took out the Clinic 217, John's Plumbing, Big John.
Big John's.
Yeah, I got all video of that, all the raw footage and the fire, and yeah, I was down there. I think it was like minus 30 at that time too.
Really cold.
It was cold.
Yeah, because I had a couple of officers from St. Thomas that brought us hot chocolates and went down, and I still got all that footage. That was quite a fire. I remember I had a picture. Well, I got on my Facebook with the big house fire at Hughes and Kane when I lived right across the road. And that's actually when I met Jim Ziegler, the cop that's retired here now. He set my laneway all weekend for Ontario Fire Marshal's office, because it was some bad, let's say cooking, but it wasn't food that was going on in that house. And the photograph I got all the fire members and the command center and all the tank. Like I took lots of photos, but the one I did get was the massive fireball coming out of the when it finally let go, and it was like, and I remember I gave that to the St. Thomas Fire. It was hanging there at one time. Bill took it, and then I don't know whatever happened to that picture. So it's a cool one. So just to be, and I just got home from work that morning, and I was able to. I woke up from the car screeching, and then I looked out my window, saw it, and then went across. You can see all the smoke rolling out. We got the guy out. He was burned. He survived, but he was burned a little bit. Yeah, doing things you shouldn't do. But so yeah, that was a big fire, and that was cold. So you were on dispatch at that time, right? I was. Yeah. So
all day, all night.
All day, all night. Yeah. So if you were, say, there's a couple of dispatchers. So both of you are dispatching, and a big event happens. Are you both called back?
So yeah, we can call in help as needed. So there's 4 dispatchers, 1 for each platoon.
Okay.
And then so automatically when we do a full callback, we call in another dispatcher. And then if more is needed, we can call them in as well.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's very similar to the actual firefighters, and they do a full recall, whichever is going on. Yep. So, okay. So let's get into a little bit about residential housing. So you rent a house, or maybe it's an apartment in a house. So that it's a duplex or a fourplex or something like that. Okay, so you're renting. So because that may be an older building, is it only one smoke detector should be on each level?
So that's a fairly complicated question. It depends on when the building was built.
Yeah.
It can depend on the layout of the building. It can depend on how many units are in the building. It really it's fairly in depth of the fire code and is very specific to what the building layout and how many people there are and all of that sort of stuff. Whatever you have in the unit, so if it's hardwired in or with an alarm system or if it's an older building, it may just be the standalone smoke alarm on the thing, but you can't downgrade from whatever that is. So if it's hardwired in, it has to be replaced with a hardwired system. If it's an alarm system, it has to remain alarm system. So you can't put in a battery operated one to replace an old one that died or went out of date because it's.
I actually have seen that where there was a brand new battery one above the hardwire. Yep. Like all the wiring was there, but they just did about it. So technically you shouldn't be doing that.
No, you should maintain whatever's in the building, and it's been built for that way for a reason, right? The building code said this is what you need for this kind of a building, and if you start to just put in battery-operated ones, then you're kind of downgrading that level of safety.
Okay, so the red one, the package on the table there, so that is a hardwired, just a straight smoke alarm, I do believe. Yep, that one. The other one that's beside it, the kitty, the black box right there, that's a talking alarm, but it's also a seal. Mm-hmm. So it's a dual smoke alarm, but those are both hardwired. You can get just standard battery ones. I think they're $15, something like that?
Yeah, roughly around $20, $30, something like that now.
Now, does not the fire department, do you guys still have that program? I remember you used to have it that, say, if anybody had questions, they could call you. You would go even to their house, talk to them.
Yep, absolutely.
There have been people that maybe can't afford it. You do supply smoke alarm for them?
So we do have a smoke alarm program. If you've got alarms and you are unsure of getting up on the ladder and your 10-foot ceilings and putting your smoke alarm up, we would rather come out and send a crew and have us get up on the ladder than have to come to the med call when you've fallen off the ladder. If somebody can't afford smoke alarms and they're in their own home, then absolutely we will. And a lot of people will just bring in a smoke alarm, say, I don't know what's wrong with it, or can you help me troubleshoot the system or whatever. And we're more than happy to do any of that, and just calling dispatch, and then we'll send someone around and make sure. And that's how important it is to us to have the smoke alarms in the house, is that we will do that for free because it's that important.
Okay, I was aware. Actually, I did have a few years ago a elderly tenant that her alarm went off. It was like 3:00 in the morning, and there was no fire, nothing. Fire department came. I actually got the phone call from the fire fighters downstairs here. They buzzed me. So I got up and I went to that lady's apartment, and in the meantime, they were already installing a new alarm. So I had the exact same ones at that time, so I just replaced it with, I give it back to you guys.
Yeah. And often the crews will do that if they come in and even if it is a hardwired system or alarm system, they will put in a battery operated one just for the night until,
that we could change it.
Yeah, and then you can come in and fix it up.
So sometimes these alarms go off for ridiculous reasons. I don't know. It could be the shower. The humidity came out, set them off. Toast. I don't know. Cooking seems to be good. I used to tell my wife that years ago when it went off. The alarm would sound. I would say, your food's ready. The timer just went off. And then she used to get really mad. But so if an alarm goes off and a lot of people don't call you because, especially even a CO alarm, if that thing goes off, you should be calling.
Yeah,
get out. Absolutely. Get out, just leave. Same thing with smoke alarm. If that alarm goes off, should you start looking around to see if there's smoke, if there's fire? Should you call you guys? And do you get mad? Like if you're coming out for a simple smoke alarm call?
We will never get mad.
Okay.
We'll never get mad, and we won't, you should not call us or anything like that. It's always better that you do call us, and we can come help you troubleshoot it. The biggest thing we want people to know is the difference between the chirp and a full alarm. And that's the key, right? When your smoke alarm goes off and it does that beep, 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 it's definitely urgent.
Yeah.
That's when you should call us. If it's making that chirp that goes like every 30 seconds at 3 in the morning and you can't figure out where it's coming from, that's either low battery or they've gotten gummed up with dust. And so it's also important to vacuum off your smoke alarms once in a while and kind of get some of that dirt and dust and debris out of there.
Really?
Because that can really kill them early. Or it's come to its 10-year lifespan. So the new smoke alarms, generally the ones they're making now, once they hit that expiry date, they'll start to chirp. And they'll chirp forever until you throw it out because they want you to not use your 15-year-old smoke alarm anymore.
So it almost knows how old it is.
Yep. It times out after. And there's also the 10-year lithium battery smoke alarms that you don't ever have to change the battery. And they'll chirp as well when they're at the end of their life.
So on a carbon monoxide detector then, is it let's just say every 45 seconds, is it taking an air sample? Like, what is it doing? How does it know? Do you know? Like, that's what I mean. Like, a smoke alarm, like, how does it know when the smoke comes up and hits it? What triggers it? Like,
there's different types of smoke alarms. There's photoelectric and there's ionization.
Yeah.
Right? And the photoelectric's basically looking for dust particles to break a light beam type of, in a basic sense.
So it's like an infrared.
Yeah.
Like we don't see it in our spectrum, but yeah.
And then the ionization, it's ionized, so it draws the smoke particles to the plates, and once it breaks that, then that's how
I get it.
So the two work better in different scenarios.
Okay.
Right? One works better when it's light smoke, it'll pick up a smoldering fire faster. Another one works better for like high heat, quick flame.
So how important is it to have one in your home?
It's absolutely essential.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And if there's any one thing to take away, just have a smoke alarm. No matter what systems you have or whatever, they have to be running. And we are into fires all of the time that could have been prevented. They could have been stopped faster. People literally die because they don't have a smoke alarm. Our society pays so much attention to making everything safe. I mean, we're not even allowed to have lawn darts anymore because kids might hurt themselves. Yeah, I know, that's right. And yet people will totally avoid buying a $30 smoke alarm.
Wow.
And that it's crazy to me.
And do you see still a lot of people that they have them, but they took them down?
Absolutely. Yes. All the time.
And they never put them back up?
Yep. I was changing the battery, and we'll walk into a place, and it'll be sitting on the table, just the battery's gutted, and it's all the time. All the time. And it can be fixed, right? It's a smoke alarm placement. If you get that where it's cooking and it sets it off all the time, make sure you're buying a smoke alarm with a hush feature.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you burn your toast, you hit the hush button, it stops it for 5 or 10 minutes, whatever the thing may be, and then it goes back in action after. Instead of taking it down. So you don't have to stand
there with a tea towel.
And instead of taking it down and taking the batteries out of it, throwing it on the counter where you're never going to put it back up again.
Yeah.
These ones have the hush feature, and it just shuts it down.
All right, so what's the fine if you were to go in and find somebody, there was a fire, smoke alarms were taken down. They were there, but taken
Yep,
down.
absolutely.
Okay? I'm sure there's a fine for that.
So we can go one of two ways. If it's a case where there has been a fire, we can go to court, and you can go up to a year in jail for it. It's actually.
Oh, really? Wow.
You
Okay.
can get jail time. You can get $50,000.
Okay.
It's quite heavy, the fines.
So that is open on the first offense, like that you
Absolutely.
can go up to that. It would depend on injuries, dollar amount, maybe.
Yep. And then we can do a ticket. So if we come in and we see that your smoke alarm's down and there's no incident that goes with it, we think that a slap on the wrist is going to help you remember to put your smoke alarm up. We can write you a ticket for close to $400. So
Now, would your ticket, is it similar to a police officer's, like
It's a
a provincial
provincial offense.
offenses?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
and it's like I said, you go through the court system. It's the same.
But now that's only your office that can issue those, right? Like an actual firefighter on the job can't write the ticket. You would have to be a fire prevention officer or something that way?
Yeah, you have to be an assistant to the fire marshal.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, does that, for you, Shannon, can you do it too?
Yes.
So you can, okay. Wow.
She's really good at it.
What, writing tickets and handing them out? There you go.
Yes, I have done that.
I bet you the responses are very great when you hand those over, but
Well,
no, so
and especially when people don't put their smoke alarms up and say, I can't afford it, it's too expensive. Well, a ticket is going to be more, and
Yeah.
someone's life.
how much is a ticket?
It's close to $400.
Is
Yeah.
it really? Wow. Wow.
Yep, and it's not just smoke alarms. There's a whole short list of things that we can write tickets for, and that's
So we're talking about smoke alarms. Let's talk a little bit about a CO, carbon monoxide detector. So we all remember the story of the police officer in Woodstock that brought all of that forefront because her whole family was killed from that. So how important, every house should have a CO?
Absolutely.
And how does so from what I understood was if you were in a house that has electric stove, you have electric dryer, electric heat, you have nothing of gas, oil, any fossil burning, you don't need a CO?
So comes from fuel, incomplete combustion.
Correct.
Right? So if everything is electrical in your house, then you don't necessarily need the CO alarm. If you've got a furnace or anything that runs on fuel, on gas, then absolutely you need to have one.
Okay, so I am currently right now doing our biannual fire inspections of the building. So I have 118 units that I go through. So I'm looking for, and I'm compiling a list, actually it's for you guys, so that if we ever have, it's not typically if, it's kind of when it will happen, because there will be a fire at some point. So we're doing a list of, we go through, we check for hoarding, so we make note of what units are, hoarders. We check for the alarms. The only units that we install like a dual is below right around the boiler room. And our laundry room, that's where the gas burning is, above the laundry room, and then this room and our workroom.
Any apartments adjacent to those service
above
rooms.
and beside, right? So that's, everybody else is just a straight hardwired alarm. The other thing that we look for now is those lithium batteries, like those hoverboard scooters, things that I tell tenants, I haven't actually come across one yet. I ask them, do you have any of those? And they're like, why can't I have them? I said, no, you can, but we need to know where they are. So that would be more for you guys. Does that help though if you have a building that looks after that kind of stuff? Like a property manager or a building manager that can give you like we have an evacuation list that we set up for you guys that what units, if they have health issues or whatever, you by that list know where to go.
Yep, and that's part of your fire safety plan, and that's a huge. I mean, we've got that information when you send it to us, and we say, yep, it's approved. All of that information goes into our system. Yeah, it goes into our CAD system, and then dispatch has that at their disposal when they respond to the building.
And now, Shannon, how do you finding from dispatch getting into fire prevention? How is it? Like, it must be pretty cool.
It is. It's a big change, but now it's good to see the other side, right?
Yeah.
Before you're in an office on a phone, you hear everything, you don't see it. Now you get to see it, and it gets to be out in the
Right.
public. So
Do you find it, I don't like using this word a lot, but it's not easier, but I would imagine on the phone could get pretty intense at times, especially if you're getting multiple, like a lot of calls coming in. But now you're out on the road and you're going to scenes and stuff, so it's a whole
just
different ballgame. But
it's different. It's
just
like a different stress, or however you want to put it.
yeah, I guess for that part it would be. I guess you're dealing with more of the actual scene here, where on the phone you're dealing with like the people.
Yeah, on the
that.
phone you make the connection of what you think it is.
Okay.
You don't actually know because you don't get to see it.
Right.
When you're out in the public and you're there, now you can make the connection.
So what made you want to make that jump?
Well, I did dispatch for many years and just thought it would be a new, exciting adventure.
Yeah, it would definitely be a venture.
But
so.
it was a lot of work. It's a lot of schooling and
Yeah.
ongoing schooling and learning. Everything's changing.
So where would you go to school for that?
So they do courses all around. We used to do the Ontario Fire College.
Okay.
They don't have that anymore.
What are they?
No. Last year they got rid of it, a couple years.
Where was that one?
Gravenhurst.
Oh, really? They got rid of that one. Okay. My sister's ex-partner he was on the Berks Falls Fire Department. That's where he went to Gravenhurst. And,
That used to be the center, and now they've are running courses all throughout the province, so it's supposed to be.
so they took the central one out and just put it.
Yeah, so I've done training in
Oh my goodness.
Richmond Hill, Waterloo, Dorchester, Shannon, Elmer.
Oh wow, Shannon. What
Yeah,
would they
so
do?
the fire college will come in and run a course.
Okay,
If there's like
okay.
a few people in the area, we've had courses at our department.
So you go to Keystone Complex or whatever,
Yep.
and they do it there.
Yep.
Okay, all right, I get it. Lambton Fire College, is that still there?
It is. Yeah.
Is it? Okay, that's been there a long time. I remember that from my days back in Grand Bend, a long time ago. So, all right. So now from the CO, the carbon monoxide detector. So, should you have one of them on every level, or just around wherever you're burning?
burning things are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every level, but the main idea is to be near the sleeping areas, right? You want it.
Okay.
If you put it in your furnace room and then that's at the back of the house and you close the door, chances are you're not going to hear it as well. But you want it near the sleeping areas.
Okay.
That way you're sleeping at night and then you're going to hear it and respond.
My question now is, in today's new build, so say you have a smoke alarm, like our hardwire ones here in our building are not hooked up to any main alarm, so it's just hardwire for power.
Yep.
And actually, I really got surprised by how much, I didn't realize that they were full, like 120 volts running through those lines. When I was first started changing them, and I've always dealt with battery ones, never did hardwire, and I thought, well, this little thing, it must be just reduced. It's kind of like a phone system or whatever.
Yeah.
You get the wires, but you don't really get anything of it. And then I'm mucking around up there, and all of a sudden, poof. I was like, wow. Yeah, that's full power going through here.
Yeah.
So I was actually surprised. But our hardwire, so if it goes off, say, in unit 405, doesn't ring anywhere else. It's only, if you happen to walk by in the hallway, you can hear it go on, or maybe if they have their window open. But in a new house or whatever that are hardwired, are they all tied together in the multiple levels? Is that kind of a code thing now, or that's still not up to the builder?
It depends on the building when the house was built.
Okay.
Right. So the new building code, there seems to be alarms in every single room. They all have the strobes.
That's it.
There's quite a lot of smoke alarms, CO alarms in every room or in the house. Our biggest concern with that is it's really difficult for us to get people to maintain one smoke alarm on one level. And a lot of these new builds with the building code, it's coming to 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's time for them to change all their smoke alarms. And when you're looking at $120 for a strobe smoke alarm, it's going to be expensive for a lot of homeowners when they all come
true.
due. I've been at my house for 11 years now, and now it's time to change all of our smoke alarms.
That's true.
And so we are kind of on a campaign to make sure that people are looking out for this. And when your house is 10 years old, this might be a cost
if you got
that
one
you're
in every
gonna incur.
room, you're talking, you could be 8, 9, 10, just
Easy.
depends how many rooms.
Yep.
Yeah, at $100 and some odd dollars a piece.
Yep.
So you could be $1,500, $2,000.
And if we're struggling to get people to put up
Change one.
a battery-operated one, in older homes and make sure they change the battery. We're really going to be on a push to make sure that people are aware that this was coming.
Now, what about fire extinguishers? I got one sitting right there. That's kind of the size that, I don't know, I call that a 2.5 pound. But that's what I have sitting on my wall by my stove. Now, it's not beside the stove because I learned a long time ago, if your stove catches fire, your extinguisher is pretty much out of reach. You know, you can't. And which is now something that we had talked a little while ago about the fire blankets. That's kind of a new thing, right? The concern with that, and I never even thought of that, but the concern of that, you got a pot of whatever on your stove, all flames. Now you're leaning over it to throw a blanket on it.
Yeah, and you
the
throw the blanket
work.
on, and it's heavy, and it pulls everything back towards you, and you've got, you know, whatever was cooking on your
especially if you
stoves
gotta
now
remove it.
coming your way, right? So that's, I mean, they work. They remove the oxygen, they put the fire out, but you know, it has to be considered when you're buying them. You know, if you're buying them for an elderly, it seems everybody's asking for their moms right lately. It's like my mom wants to know, and you know, if you've got an 80-year-old woman that you want her throwing a blanket over top of the fire, or would you rather have her standing a few feet back with the fire extinguisher, or getting
out?
Yeah,
I guess that would elderly, like, just get out.
Yeah,
don't even worry about it. Just go.
And that's what we always push with the fire extinguishers. They're great, they work, but you know, if there's for any reason you think that you can't or shouldn't fight the fire, just get out and call 911, and do that before you attempt to use a fire extinguisher, anyways.
Okay.
That way, if it doesn't go right for you,
get you on
we're already on the way. Yep.
Get you rolling there first. So okay, there was a story quite a few years ago now, on Wilson Ave, where a young guy, 17 years old, died in that fire. He actually had got out, turned around and went back in because of a pet. How common is that? Do you find people, you know, they're family members, right?
Yep. Yeah.
But
and
that's the hardest thing for you to do is...
It's really hard. And you know, when we talk to little classrooms of kids, right, and you do the don't ever go back into a fire, and then what about for a pet? And probably 50% of the kids will go, yep, I'm going back in for a little Sparky.
Yeah.
And
pardon the pun.
But we have to remember, especially cats, animals are very, very resourceful in a house fire. They will, I've seen cats wander out of, like, you're like, no, there's no way. And then this cat just comes rolling out from behind the furnace like 3 hours later, like, holy crap, what happened?
Wow, really?
So we have to keep that in mind, that animals are better at getting out or hiding or protecting themselves than humans are. They 100% are.
Okay.
So going back in and trying to find a scared, hidden pet in a house fire, it's almost impossible.
Now, in a fire, does a dog hide like a cat would? I know an instinct on a cat, when they're scared, they run and hide. Chances are you ain't going to find them. That's why you're going to perish, probably.
Typically, the dog will follow you out the door or beat you out the door.
Or beat you, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, animals are far more resourceful than we are.
I know that was a sad story. I remember CFPL TV wanted to do the story. I got a letter or a note passed from my producer at that time and said, Tony, can you go out and talk to that family? They called and said they wanted me to come and see them to do that story. And I thought, ooh, really? So I went out and I sat with them for 3 hours. Yeah. I did that story. When I came back, they said, all right, we want that in 2.5 minutes. And I said, there's no way.
There's no way. Yeah.
There's no way. We talked everything about what that boy, what happened, why he went back in, where they found him, all that kind of stuff. And it was one of the hardest stories I think I've ever had to deal with. So that's the downside to your job now. Like if somebody does perish in a fire, you go in, now you're looking at. So what process happens from there? Now you call in the coroner, the fire marshal's office comes in, all that kind, and then you kind of step away from that while they take over?
So if it is a fatal, the OFM will come in. They essentially take over the scene, but while the body is still there, it's under the Coroner's Act, and it's city police are holding it until the coroner comes, and then the OFM takes over. So there's kind of a transfer as it goes through the investigation, there's kind of a transfer of who has the scene, depending on what the situation is at the time. It's under the Coroner's Act for a little bit, and then it's under the OFM and that kind of thing. So depending on how it sort of plays out is who is kind of in control of the scene. We, as St. Thomas, no matter who has the scene, we're always there to assist. So when the OFM comes in and they say, okay, this is our scene now, we stay on scene with them the whole time. We assist them with the investigation, but essentially it is their scene. We find that, when they send the OFM guys in for a call, we try to stay because they're really good at their job and we learn a lot. So, we want to be there to learn as much as we can, as well as give the assistance.
Absolutely, yeah. You kind of want to shadow them everywhere they go too. Anything you can pick up also helps. So, on the table, I got a little can of smoke there. That's what I use when I'm going around doing all our building inspections. So our fire biannual inspection. So that smoke, I'm pretty sure you can buy at the hardware store or whatever. So if somebody was testing their alarms, if they push the button, is that an adequate test, or should they be using the smoke?
The smoke is typically used when you have smoke detectors, not necessarily the button ones that you can push. So you have a lot in the like in a building like this that you have to use the smoke to activate them, rather than having the push test.
Yeah, I got every one that we have now, like that black kitty there. It's a smoke carbon. It's a talking one, and it has the test button. Right
the
on
test button absolutely works.
Does it
to do it? The liquid or the smoke test off will gum it up after if you're using it repeatedly on the same
I
alarm.
have noticed some of them I noticed that a lot of the older ones that are coming up now to their 10 year. I give just a and it goes off. These newer ones, I gotta sit there and then it will go off a little. Like they have almost a delayed response.
Yeah, and it can go both ways. As they get older, there can be more of a delay, or it can get super sensitive. It's already kind of gummed up with a lot of, especially ones in the kitchen that get grease in the air. We'll get them all gummed up.
See, that's why I thought if a test button, you push it. I know you're listening for the audible sound. That's what you want to hear, but you also want to know if it's actually picking up the smoke. So that's why I thought one is better than the other, or.
Yeah, the test button is absolutely, they've deemed it that's good, and it is good.
Okay. Now let's get into, that's enough talking shop. All right. So let's get into what you like doing as a hobby and your playtime.
My playtime.
Yeah.
Oh,
you got horses.
I got horses.
I'm going to break that over.
I got a horse,
Well, still.
A horse and a little hobby farm.
A horse. Yeah.
So that's one of the hobbies,
Okay, so do you actually just have the horse and play around with the horse, or do you actually ride? Like what?
So she's fairly green. She was just broke last year, so I'm not really riding yet.
You're not
because
breaking them?
I'm chicken, but my daughter is. She's the horse whisperer. So.
Yeah. Oh, she's a horse whisperer. So you have not actually been like at a full run and get thrown?
Yeah.
I've had it too.
I've had some unfortunate faults.
I've had some. Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, when you go down. I had going through a field one time, and I had a Appaloosa, and we were galloping pretty good through the field, and then all of a sudden he just decided to go left.
And you went right?
I'm thinking, I went kind of right and over shoulder, and I'm thinking it was probably a groundhog popped up or something, because he just turned.
Actually, my worst injury was I didn't even fall off the horse. I dislocated my thumb because I had my thumbs down, and we went over a jump, and then I hit the back of his neck, and it
bent your thumb back
right in, and
Yeah, there's people that have never ridden a horse. There's a lot of movements on that horse that you didn't think your body was going to go through. But that day when Champ was his name, he turned, I went over, stirrup, my foot went through the stirrup, hooked me, and then I slid underneath the whole saddle turn. And all I remember was hooves coming down the side, and then the stirrup broke.
Yep.
And then he went back to the barn. And I laid there for a bit, and then I got up and went back. And then I'm not going to tell you what happened after that. But that was scary. And my sister had Arabians, and I was on her horse. Sassy was her name. got on there. My sister knew this. I didn't know at that time. It was so many years ago. Went down the road. Beautiful. Nice ride. Great. Got about a 3/4 of a mile down the road. Turned around to go back to the barn, and then holy hell went loose. And it was full speed. Whoa, you talk about scared.
I'd like to go back to the barn.
Talk about scared. So, Shannon, so how about you? What do you do in your off time?
Well, I'm a golfer, so I like
yeah?
golf. I like this weather now, so I can get out and golf.
Do you, what course is one of your favorites?
Pine Knot, because I used to work there.
Did you? Okay. I used to golf, it was Oakwood in Grand Bend. That was a great,
Yeah.
and then there was one, I don't remember the name, Sunset something it was called, up in Bayfield area, towards Goddard. We used to go up there a lot. Golf along the lake, so nice.
It is nice.
But Oakwood Inn was that's a hard course back then too. And then they built the Pinery one that was, at that time it was a great course for nine hole for irons. And it was a great course for doing ironwork and stuff. But I don't know if that even is still up there or not anymore. I don't know. But golfing, I can't afford it.
It's
freaking
expensive.
expensive. I mean, it used to be, you go for $30. Used to be, that was with a cart. I think it's got to be
It's
what,
like-
probably $100, pretty
Yeah,
close.
70 and up usually.
No.
Or if you can get a deal.
Oh,
Some courses have deals at certain hours or...
wow, that is so crazy. Now, I was just trying to remember, somebody had wrote into, and I said I was going to mention on the, I forgot my questions and everything, and I had wrote it down on there. Somebody had sent me a private message on a question too, and I can't remember what it was. So it's the way it goes. I'll remember later. Let's say, Kim, you're off. You're at home, I guess. So what's your happy place? Doing what is?
What? Anything outside, I think.
Is it?
Being outside, and like even mowing the grass, just as long as I'm outside and the weather's nice, and I can make do with all
I used to
of
love
that.
mowing grass. Yeah. Now flip it though on what really burns you. Pardon the pun.
Oh God, just a lot of things.
Yeah. Mike, I said to the mayor when he was in here, and Mike Vecchio had the best one. I thought it was great because when I asked him what makes Mike mad, and he's like, shitty people.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so good.
I don't suffer fools well.
Yeah.
I don't like people that act stupid to get like that. You know what I mean? Whether that weaponized,
Especially when you know they're not.
that weaponized
Yeah.
incompetence really drives me bonkers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. Shannon, how about you? So what's your happy place? Golf course.
Golf course. No, I like to do things with my friends. I love going to concerts or sporting events.
Yeah.
I do a lot of that.
Concerts. There you go. What
I'm country.
Music?
Country.
Oh, you're country. Okay. So I don't know if she saw the I had the singer in here. Episode 3 maybe. I'd have to go back and check. He's Canada's most awarded independent country artist. And he was in here, we did a show together. That was Jamie Warren.
Nice.
So Jamie is a longtime friend, and I just got done doing bookings for him for a Legion tour. So yeah, country has been something I've been working with and a lot for quite a few years. And the band, before Jamie, I was the band manager for the Ring of Fire Johnny Cash experience. They were a group of guys that were the only band that was endorsed by Johnny Cash's Holland, the drummer, T.C. Holland, I think it was. He came to Canada at one time and toured with these guys before I got involved with them. And then I became their manager and was to book them all across the country. And then COVID hit, and then that was the end of it. So, yeah. All right, I guess that's really about it. That's all I got for you. I don't see anything. We're still blinking over here. We're all good. That was still blinking. I got everything powered up to hydro, so I think we did okay.
Perfect.
Anything else, Kim, that see if anybody has questions for people to fire-related house or anything, just call the fire department?
Absolutely. If you have concerns with your own house, if you have concerns with something your landlord's doing or not doing, anything, if you just have questions, absolutely call us. That's what That's literally all we do.
Don't be embarrassed by if you just don't know, just make the call, right?
Yeah, just make the call. It's way easier, and it's probably been asked 100 times.
I just remembered. Okay, here it is. So they did mention the people that own the buildings downtown that are vacant, they've been vacant for years, derelict, whatever, run down.
Yeah.
On your side, how frustrating is it dealing with these people? Like, is it through enforcement? Is that about the only way you can get it? Like what's going on with some of these really run down bad places?
And so currently we're on a trip down Talbot Street. We're started at the east end, and we're working our way right down. And the biggest thing with Talbot Street is that there's residential units above mercantile.
Yeah.
Right? So it could be a vacant storefront downstairs has 14 people living upstairs. And so if the owner's not getting the rent from the vacant storefront, often it starts to slide off in the care of the building. As far as the totally vacant ones, we can ensure that the owner is securing it properly, because really that's our main concern is unauthorized entry, people breaking in and starting fires and doing all that stuff. If it's secured properly and there's no issues, it can sit vacant as long as it needs. It's when you get people breaking into them and squatting in them and all of that kind of stuff that it really becomes a nuisance for us and the landlord, and it's dangerous.
Okay, so people they get up through the night and they're getting a drink or something, and they see not so much an abandoned building, but somebody's in behind dumpster fires. Say they see, should that person be phoning the police first right away? If they see somebody or even see the flickering of a light, should they call the fire department?
So when you call 911, they're going to say police, fire, or ambulance, right? So if it's a fire thing, you're going to say there's a dumpster fire out back, and they're going to automatically direct you. City police are the answering service, or not the answering service.
The 911?
You're editing this, right? They're the piece up so it goes to city police, and then they drop it down to us. So you'll probably get both of us anyway. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So.
Just tell them what the problem is, and they will send the ones to solve the problem.
Is St. Thomas ever going to dispatch again to the community fire? Do you ever know?
It's hard to say, and Tilsonburg has had that contract for a lot of years, and it's a contracting process, right?
Okay.
So everybody puts bids. We haven't done it in a lot of years.
It's been quite a while.
15 years or so.
Has it been that long already?
Yeah, I think so. So I don't know if we'll get back into that business or not. But
yeah. That's something I remember quite a bit, and that was before digital, all that stuff. It was actually I remember used to the scanner, sitting back and listening, and it was actually a lot of fun back then. But yeah, all right. Well, thanks. All right, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. I think we covered pretty much everything. So get a smoke alarm. Make sure it's in. I'm sorry for those that have the brand new houses with one in every room. That's going to kind of suck. Yeah, I get that. Fire extinguishers, pretty simple thing to have, and you can get them pretty cheap too. I mean, really, for how long they last.
And just make sure you're maintaining it.
I was going to say, take it down at least even once a month and shake it.
Yeah, you got to give it a shake, and you've got to maintain it. They should be annually. They should be brought in and have them inspected annually by a fire extinguisher service. Okay. They will take the powder out, give you a nice new fluffy powder, make sure it's got all the pressure back in it. The ones that have been under your sink for 5 years and you've never brought it out, often it says it has pressure because there's pressure in the canister, but all of your powder is just a hard cake on the bottom because it hasn't moved in 5 years. It's probably not going to work when you need it. So rather you have none and know that you have none than have one that you think you have and it's not going to work.
So the question I have been asked for the Extinguishers for Sydney campaign that I had started. So I have the extinguisher. I have the one in my cart was this? That'd be a 5 pound. Or is that 10 pound? The bigger one with the hose on it. I can't remember what size they were. Anyway, I think it's a 10 pound. But those ones you don't have to shake up as much, really, do you? Because you are turning and bumping down the road.
Yeah, because the ones in the vehicles, they tend to get shook around pretty good, but you do still have to do that annual inspection.
Okay.
You still have to have them.
That's a good point, because I never actually, we did all the fire training with Bill and about the PASS system, the point, aim, squeeze, shoot.
Yep.
Or sweep, not shoot, but I was going to say shout and run, but but that day, I don't think were you there that day we did that at Malahide Fire out on, that was a great day. They had the fire pit there, and we had a lot of people out for that. It was actually really good. But yeah, that's one point I never knew. Even the car ones, I've never had mine inspected. I think I've had it 4 years now. So yeah, and I did notice this past winter. Well, the other thing, I keep losing the little tab. Yeah,
Yeah. So then that's
breaking.
what the little tags for is that keeps the pin in, especially in your vehicle.
Yeah.
Because they get bumped around, and the next thing you know, your trunk's full of powder.
Yeah. Which I'd rather have it in the trunk than a hatchback or something where it's in the back seat and the way it goes. And that's the other thing, make sure they're secure in the car.
Absolutely. Yep.
Not, I guess it's in a trunk is not as bad, but you still don't want that thing flying around. Especially in of it, like people that put them on the floor. Floorboard.
You don't need it to be a projectile in an accident.
No, absolutely. So, okay. Thanks, Shannon. That was great. Oh, what makes you mad? What makes you mad? She thought I was going to forget it. Yeah. Yeah, so we talked a little bit about happy golf, so you don't even know.
I know.
Probably when Kim comes in at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon and said, I need you to go do this.
No, I actually don't mind those.
Oh, you don't mind those. There you go. Now you know where to pass it on.
Eager to answer the phone in the middle of the night.
It's when I come say, we got to go do a podcast with Tony, and she's like, oh, no.
Oh, no, we got to go do that. Yeah. No, that's cool. So, all right, we're done.
Well,
thank you so much, and hopefully we have a good summer. Nothing too major going on. What did you guys think of the train fire there, London?
Awesome.
Can you imagine that coming out of format, rolling through there with all the cars like that on fire? Holy, I mean, we don't have that kind of. They had railway ties and all that stuff on there, but still, that must have been quite a scene.
That would have got your attention.
You know what? But the other thing is, I kept thinking, okay, so it was first spotted Oxford Street West out there coming into the city. It's heading east, and I'm thinking, why the hell did you stop in downtown London, like right at Pall Mall area, right there? I'm thinking, geez, I think there'd be some better spots to stop.
I think they did that just to get the suppression.
So they could get suppression.
Yeah. God, that'd be just something else. So can you imagine those buildings right there? But all right, anyway. We're done. So thanks everyone tuning in, and you guys come back sometime.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll see if we can. Hopefully, no major incidents. We'll bring them in and talk about it, but we'll see what's happening in the city. Oh, new area too. This was something that I did want to ask you for the EV battery plant and all that. That St. Thomas acquired all that land all the way. That's all part of your area now.
Yep. Yeah,
okay.
It is.
So for emergency services and that, are you still working with the Yarmouth Center? Like, do you guys work together on if there's a big event or something happens out there?
Yep, there's always mutual aid. We always make sure that we're looking out for our neighbors and that they're looking out for us if we have a big event. There's automatic aid in some areas where if, like Yarmouth Center, we're closer, we'll go and then hand off to Yarmouth Center. When they get there, we're always back and forth with the surrounding.
Now, St. Thomas Municipal Airport, though, but is that St. Thomas or is that Yarmouth?
That's Yarmouth Center.
It is Yarmouth.
Yep.
Okay, because I kind of wonder sometimes you see where Green Lane is actually Toronto now, City of Toronto, but it's in our area.
Yep.
So is the airport, is that actual city or is
it's city property? It's protected by Yarmouth Center, and
Yarmouth Center.
Same as the psych hospital, right? Was protected by us for years and years and years.
Oh.
It's not anymore, but we used to run out to the psych hospital.
Oh, did you run all the way out to there? Okay. Now, where did you go? Southdale line? Kind of, is that the dividing line now? Southdale?
We're half of it. We're half of it.
Yeah, the one half. The south side would be Central Elgin or whatever now, right?
Yeah. So you get into the...
That's the same with Raw McNeil. Raw McNeil line, if you go the north side, that would be Yarmouth Center. And then if you come on the south side, that's city. Yeah, okay. All right, that's enough. Okay, talk to you later. Bye for now, folks.